So it's a pleasure to be here again for so many reasons. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this buzzword, participatory exploration, which I'm sure most of you have heard a decent amount about in the last several months with the release of the President's FY11 budget request, and maybe wondering sort of what the heck is NASA talking about. So I wanted to tell you kind of where we are, what NASA envisions as what participatory exploration is. And really, I don't want to talk for too long because what I was hoping to do with this is I'm working with a small team at NASA to make this happen, to sort of make it a part of the organizational culture. And I'd like to get ideas, you know, your feedback as space enthusiasts and interested folks in what exactly the agency should be doing along the lines of participatory exploration and increasing levels of public engagement. So like I said, the President's budget request for FY11 included dollars actually for participatory exploration, for standing up a I'm just going to say PE because it's a mouthful, PE office, to the tune of $5 million. Now, the budget hasn't been decided. It's not clear or not whether or not this activity is going to be funded or not in FY11 through the request, but work is being done at NASA headquarters and across the NASA field centers to sort of get our arms around the issue and think about what we need to do to kind of make this part of the institutional fabric. And it is very much consistent. It was supported in the President's budget largely because you may well know about the President's focus on open government and transparency and collaboration and public engagement. This really went hand in hand with that idea. The objectives of the office as outlined in the budget are basically threefold. To support research into new technologies, whether those are communications technologies on Earth or better cameras, so on and so forth, to be put on spacecraft that can help increase public participation in the NASA program. Also to coordinate NASA-wide efforts to ensure that PE activities are included in future missions, and we're also actually concerned also about sort of current state of play and how we can do things not just years from now, but in the immediate term as well. And then also the office is tasked with becoming a clearinghouse for identifying and communicating best practices in participatory exploration. So what exactly is PE? This was the President's budget request did not lay out a specific definition saying this is what PE is. And so it became the task of this working group at NASA, currently led in the Exploration Science Mission Directorate, to come up with exactly what the concept would be for PE. And what we ended up kind of putting together is recognizing that this isn't sort of public affairs as NASA has traditionally done it, where it's sort of a broadcast kind of a broadcast of this is what we're doing and for the public to kind of consume and do with what it will, but that it would become an active involvement of people as contributors to and collaborators in the actual work of the agency. It's a tall task. It's some might say that you know, if it succeeds, it would be a real paradigm shift for the agency. Time will tell, but this is really what our working group is hoping that the PE activity will become. And it's really aimed at a couple different objectives. First of all, giving people the opportunity, people across the public broadly, the ability to personally connect with NASA. Whether or not their day job is, as an engineer or scientist, but to get everybody involved. Secondly, to really garner interest in science and technology, and for students coming up in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics careers. And then also for NASA to be able to access and really harness the interest that's out there, currently out there, and the creativity and skills that are currently out there into its own activities, to bring those skills in and really harness to benefit the objectives of the agency. This basically is a slide that I have to thank some colleagues out at the Ames Research Center for putting together that really gives you a concept of what we were really considering in terms of what public engagement is. The first column really talks to the information dissemination. That's really what I was talking to about, sort of the classic public affairs, one-way kind of broadcast from the agency to the outside world, really, of what the agency is doing. But as you sort of work up through 2, 3, 4, 5, this is really getting, as you get to the right, is really where we're talking about participatory exploration going, and that it being more of a two-way, a connection, a place where people can really feed into the work of the agency and bring ideas and such. As Doug Ellison, I believe it was. Is Doug in the room? Hi, Doug. I really appreciated your Ignite talk earlier, the postcards talk, because it was, I think, a very nice segue into this. Like you pointed out, you said that participatory exploration is not new, and I completely agree with you. It is not new at the agency, and these are some examples here. Again, this is basically the chart that I just showed, but with actual examples overlaid onto it. Of cases where the agency is already engaging in participatory type activities. You have things like the use of the high-rise camera on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, right, where people can propose photos, that they want to have the orbiter take. You have centennial challenges, which Dave Maston, I know, could tell you a lot more about than I is much more qualified to talk about than I certainly am. But again, that's another example of a public engagement and the kind of thing that PE is aspiring to, or NASA is aspiring to for PE. So there's a whole range of different kinds of activities that are currently out there, and we're really trying to focus again in sort of the right side and think about ways that build on basically the experiences of what's gone before, and ways that the public can engage with NASA. And I do want to point out that there's also, we are thinking about it in terms of not just sort of the degree of intensity of participation, but also we recognize that there are sort of different levels, different types of people who bring different levels of expertise that might be interested in participating with NASA. Folks that don't necessarily have a lot of technical experience to folks that have specific kinds of experiences, in computer science and in aerospace engineering and so forth. So there's really we're going for a whole gamut of trying to reach a wide audience and get everybody involved as they see appropriate for themselves. So at this stage, like I said, there is no money in the budget, but we are working to do the groundwork and do an inventory of what the agency is currently doing along these lines. At the end of September, we're actually having a workshop where we're going to be bringing in folks from outside of even the aerospace industry, outside of NASA, outside of space, to get a sense of what other organizations do in terms of engaging the public and getting people involved in the kinds of activities that that they're known for. And so we're doing all this and, just like I said, gearing up for the activity and really figuring out how to make PE activities valuable for both the public and the agency alike. So this is the part where I'm going to stop talking. I am happy to answer any questions, but I do want to hear from you. That's what I was actually hoping to get out myself from this talk on behalf of NASA and the PE team, is to really hear back from folks who are interested in this kind of thing. What do you think of the kinds of activities NASA has offered to date? Where has the agency succeeded, fallen short? What kinds of activities do you think NASA ought to be thinking about offering as we go forward? And how should NASA communicate these opportunities to the public? So I'll turn it over to you.
There's an Imagineer that spoke about how Disney starts projects, and
Mm-hmm.
Being able to tell a story about what you guys are doing and then finding a way to bring in the public so that they're a part of that story, I think is a powerful way to be able to kind of keep these things going.
Interesting.
And people in. So
Okay.
making sure that every time you launch a new EE project of some kind or mission, that there's always a story behind it that the public can get in on.
That gets started from the
Yeah.
beginning, and that you think
Yeah.
about that as you're scripting out and developing the
Exactly.
project.
Being
Okay.
able to say that you, public, are part of this story. It's not just 5 engineers in a room that are figuring out how to.
Okay. It's good.
So-
That's good. Yeah, that's a good thought. Okay. Perfect. I did, yes. Sounds great, thanks. Yes.
I was thinking that movies are something that reaches a large array of audiences, so
What, movies,
like a film.
okay. A film that NASA, I mean, something that you mean NASA produces, or?
Maybe not, maybe something.
Or in
that
conjunction.
Like, the game Moonbase Alpha that NASA had developed
Yep.
by another
Okay,
and then forever.
gotcha, okay. Cool, thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh-huh. Right. Sounds, yeah.
Can you repeat it for the audience who's watching online, roughly summarize what he said? Into the microphone, yeah. Or just, you're close enough there, but in the audience, they can't be heard.
Okay, but I can probably write it up and,
Yeah, just if you could just repeat
Oh,
something right back.
basically the idea was engaging NASA, creating partnership between NASA and amateur communities. Whether it's academics, you were saying, radio, ham radio operators.
have experience in space.
Right, on projects like a CubeSat, like a small,
Not small
s-
spacecraft.
s- right, okay.
But the second fun thing that happened this last year, I think, was a project called Americans in Orbit, 50 years. And they actually were able to work with University of Huntsville.
Alabama Huntsville.
And they archived the early Gemini and the Mercury program documentation. They have archived significant amounts. And they apparently have a lot of engineering resources in terms of human experts who can design and are ready to design a replacement rocket subject to the original specifications of the Gemini and Mercury programs. Why they want to do that? They want to actually build upon the inherent knowledge of NASA
Okay. And you said that's who's doing? You said UAH and
Yeah, Americans in Orbit.
Americans in Orbit. Dot 50. Okay. Yeah. Please do.
Excellent documentation. They even extended the command service modules from sure at the spacecraft plus. It's almost like independently they invented it, but they built it.
Mm-hmm.
They admit that they built it upon publicly available documentation.
Okay.
They digitized everything. So
Interesting. I wasn't aware of it.
their efforts could be, just looked at.
Okay. Thanks.
Why waste all this technology?
Right.
It's already out there.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. I'm not sure who was first. I'll go here and then here. Oh. Okay. Thanks.
Well, NASA's such a large organization. One of the difficulties that I tend to have having to peruse the site, just the site, if I'm looking for data, is there's no existing recommendation engine. So
There's no, sorry, no,
recommendation engine.
there's no recommendation engine at NASA.
If I go to Amazon, or if I go to Barnes and Noble, to their website, I see a you might like.
Gotcha.
So in addition to having that data accessible in a format that we can mash up and create new things with, it would be really helpful for citizen scientists to really see what other pieces of data are available that may be related to this. So if you have a particular piece of hardware that is taking in all kinds of different data, you don't just say, this subset is available to you publicly. You say, this subset is available to you publicly. You might
Also like, okay, to give you additional ideas for projects. That reminds me of one thing, which is we are working toward a website, basically. And you could go right now, I know, to, if you go to the NASA webpage, you can go to, on the top right, there's it says Connect, I believe. And that's sort of our starting point for collecting a lot of these citizen science projects and things that folks can get involved in from outside of the agency. So it sounds like, I mean, that could be sort of what you're talking about, and having this recommendation section might be something we might want to pull and make very prominent sort of in that location or some other location. So thanks. Thanks. Okay. Yes?
You wanted to know where you guys are doing, what you guys are doing right.
Please, yeah. NASA would love that.
The NASA Tweet Up program has been an absolute incredible success.
Okay.
From the first one I went to was STS 145, which was held over in here at DC.
Right.
Just with the crew and having a Q&A with the STS 125 crew, and there's another one with the STS 127 crew. There's going to be an upcoming Tweet Up, I think, for STS 133, where you guys just fly the doors open and literally get us into a place where we don't normally see. When I went to the STS 132 Tweet Up, we got to see the RSS roll away from the orbiter. And I mean, for anybody that hasn't seen something like that, that is just a jaw-dropping experience. If you don't walk and then seeing the flight the following day, seeing the launch, I mean, that was just, your jaw drops. And those of us who went, the 100 and some odd people that went to that, took that experience home and talked about it to friends, to family, to coworkers, to everything. Me personally, I bought a bunch of little mission pins, and you would think, and I gave them out at work, and you would think I just gave them a thing of gold. And it was like, wow, I'm holding a piece of history.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys are doing right. I mean, getting people into areas that they normally get to see.
Okay, great.
It's just absolutely amazing. So that's what you guys
Keep up the tweet ups. Okay.
I think you're doing wrong. We had a discussion just before coming in here. It was with NASA Television. You have a daily, ISS update, for about an hour. But with all due respect, all you're doing is just showing a whole row of consoles.
Right.
And maybe if you went ahead and did an hour program with a couple of folks, maybe a small console, or maybe a few people that want to volunteer to just sort of sit in for like 5 minutes, and just sort of give a recap of what the crew is up to today, what science is being performed, or maybe even get PAO. And I know the time up there is critical, but maybe even get PAO to get the crew, maybe a couple of members of the crew on, and just say, this is what we're up to today, and move on, and have them tell us what's going on.
Right.
Because I'm just showing a row of consoles. And I mean, these people are working, they're doing their jobs, but it doesn't, it's like watching grass grow.
Right, right. It doesn't connote excitement. Yeah.
Exactly. You can't do that. It's not really saying that, hey, this stuff is cool. It's like, all right, yeah, I'm surfing the nets.
It's part of the job, but there are exciting aspects. There are ways to make it appear exciting. Exactly. Yeah, and I know that has been a concern. I mean, I've heard that concern over and over again, and I've shared it myself, actually. And I mean, there are various reasons, I think, and I know budget is actually one of them that drives that. But I know that that the communications folks are looking at that. So I appreciate the.
One other thing maybe is there are a couple of us that do our own little, either a podcast or something like that. Maybe we can help you guys out if you want to get a certain message out, or maybe we can try to assist you guys in doing that. I mean, I know the podcast I do has maybe about 13,000 downloads a week, so maybe we can
Okay.
try to help you guys out if there's something we can do to help get your message out.
Sure. Okay. Appreciate it. We can talk. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Just behind behind Jason first. No.
Actually, Jean, sort of read my mind. I was thinking about the Massachusetts when I was speaking, and I think, Jean is correct. I think they're fantastic. I've been to myself, and I think we should keep doing as is. But I was also thinking that they're kind of, I mean, what you had earlier, that I guess their content interaction is not really the collaboration, the participatory exploration that that's going for. And I wonder if there's room to tweak this a little bit in addition to, I don't know, maybe do them in the development process, like have a tweet up about here's a project we're working on, why don't you have discussions with us. And maybe just a way, you always broadcast so much on television, people are participating on Twitter, and it might just be a way for people to sit down at a time of day and think about this project that you're working on. It seems like it might be a way to at least create some buzz about it, because you can call like, oh, maybe, I'm not a scientist, but maybe I have some idea, like, to take a picture of, like a camera, picture, just
Okay. So rather than just waiting for sort of an operation stage, you're talking, I think, about getting some public engagement earlier in the stream of mission formulation or mission development, really, and.
I know that's kind of there might be weird in some places, but there might be some, I mean, you might see some.
There may be certain opportunities.
Where you're already getting participating, but to actually just have, like a set time of day for people to sit down and think about it, you guys ask on Twitter talking about it, and on, the social websites, and just sort of getting the general public to think about it right then, and build.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Jason, do you mind if I get a couple other folks? Can you hold the thought? And oh, okay.
Now, for the record, regarding NASA TV, I know that my dad likes to watch consoles for 30 minutes at a time.
We could keep that going in the corner.
This is still interesting to people like half his age, though.
Sure. Okay.
The NASA TV isn't one channel.
Right.
There are several channels, and there is scope for better to happen other than the media channel, which can be dry and clinical and just assets that the media can use. There's also there is bandwidth, metaphorically speaking, for the other channels that we want to do the same.
Right. There's the technical options. Right.
Yeah, there isn't just one message. They should use it. Yeah, he still watches it on the operator.
Okay. Great. We'll go here, and then we'll go here. Okay.
Maybe we should try and get the public interacting with scientists and all that beforehand, during the mission planning stage, so that they can say, well, maybe we want to do this kind of science in low Earth orbit or geo or lunar orbit, for instance. It might help, interactions like, oh, I actually kind of helped build this mission. Maybe I should, expand. I took part of, I actually had my name engraved on a CD and all that kind of stuff. And impacted on a comment.
Right.
I was like, well, maybe we should apply that to, mission building kind of stage.
Okay. So you're sort of talking about citizen advisors or getting citizen input in missions before they actually get to that stage. Okay. Let's see. Did you still have some? Okay.
The suggestion that they're getting about getting people involved more in the meeting, that gave me
Mhm.
you know, a whole bunch of different concepts from all the different centers on how will we actually operate vehicles on other worlds, and how do we operate suits on other worlds, and all of those different concepts are brought together in that one location to do testing. So that might be an idea for one way that we can do that. And another thing that I've been thinking a lot about, because I'm an engineer by profession. I work at NASA. I've also worked in the mass with policymakers and so on and so forth. So I was thinking that you've got the question of in what ways can the public be contribute to work at NASA. I'm thinking we should also be asking ourselves, how do we flip that? In what ways can NASA meaningfully contribute to the public?
Mhm.
Because I think that if you're doing missions and activities that sell themselves, that you don't have to worry about, okay, how are we going to package this? How are we going to sell this? If you are doing things that all you have to do is just tell the public, we are doing this, and get it. That'll pay for more than any marketing program or recruiting program, anything like that. So instead of just thinking in terms of how can we bring the public in, we also need to be thinking about how can we do that.
Okay. And if anybody has any ideas on specifics for doing that, certainly, that'd be great. Okay, here, sir.
I realize this really isn't a purview of your office, but what's the chance of slipping a little extra thing in the NASA reauthorization that says every cable provider has to carry NASA TV and all this? I find it very, very difficult, to get NASA TV in a high quality.
In all locations. Yeah, it's not, NASA TV isn't everywhere. Right.
They do it.
Yeah, actually here.
And that helps a lot, but I would still like to be able to turn on the TV and watch it without the sort of baggage that comes with it.
Sure.
And that's why I'm not switching from, DirecTV. Because my cable provider
Does not have NASA TV? Wow.
Access to NASA TV is kind of an issue sometimes. I
Okay.
can't tell my friends who are not as interested to go. It's getting better, certainly, with Ben carrying it than with Spacevidcast. It's the right box.
All right. Why don't we go back here? That was the next hand I saw. And
Suggestion would be to listen to NASA current employees and contractor employees and their ideas, especially those that are closest to the hardware. Sometimes they have really great ideas for outreach, and a lot of times they don't even bring them forward because there's been so much of that culture of no.
right, that it's not your position to. Interesting. Okay. And that's certainly what our group, just to repeat it, the idea is to get closer to have, the people who are working at the hardware, whether they're NASA civil servants or NASA contractors, to be engaged in ways to, provide ideas for how people can connect with the agency and be involved in sort of a direct or, a closer kind of way. And that you said that that's not happening. And so our hope, the PE hope is that, that it would work differently, and that in fact, the communications channels would be more effective. And so I appreciate that comment. We'll take that back. So, okay. How about here, and then we'll go to you, Jim.
Let's go question. I've used NASA's mission during that last Hubble mission.
Mm-hmm.
During the moment that the shuttle actually captured Hubble, I was teaching at the school at that
Mm-hmm.
day. And it was really good interactive, a lot of Q&A from the grade 4, 5, 6 students. But my question is, I did it through an internet connection in a full-fledged HD connection for somebody.
Okay.
And,
Uh-huh.
I'm not a civilian, I've got nothing to do with it.
Sure.
Questioning, would NASA would the PAO be considered a suggestion to allow reflectors on NASA television?
Okay, I can't speak for PAO, but the question is would PAO would PAO consider reflect? What's that? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And it's a restricted feed, it is given out.
I am afraid I don't have the technical details on it. Okay,
Commercial cable companies, being paid to carry
Right.
signal. If people have broadband,
had a direct. Okay,
if they could sign up, register, and then take the feed,
directly.
and
Okay.
just simply
Gotcha.
make their own unedited copy.
Okay.
If that could be worked out, then I think participation would be much more
Stronger. Okay.
Whoever is interested in watching us on television, wherever they are in the whole world, will be able to see it
Okay. Gotcha.
without having to spend millions of dollars
To go through
to
the
global,
cable providers and such. Okay. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a valid question to look into.
Access to see that,
Mhm.
receiving the transmissions of the geosatellite. So if somebody had the backyard south facing where they would actually downlink a signal in true HD, then perhaps if they were permitted to rebroadcast, then we would have much more audience of NASA.
Okay. Thanks.
I did that in my project survey.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that. Okay. Jim, did you? Okay.
I was
No.
about ready to get our friends over at JPL out back. They have a program over there called the Solar System Ambassador Program.
Right. Right.
Where, folks who want to go ahead and go in front of a public, go in front of a public forum and get the rules and say, all right, this is what's going on. Beautiful program. I'd love to see that expanded into other areas, specifically the human spaceflight program.
Uh-huh.
There's something we can do to tell people what science is going on at the ISS, and just make sure that maybe on the website, throw our names down if somebody's interested in grabbing us
And
over.
can make the connection.
Gladly do it.
Okay.
We have a room full of people that are ready to help. Just point us in the direction.
So extend the solar system ambassadors to other
Yeah.
facets of what the agency does. Fabulous. Okay. Yes. And then we'll go over here.
Assuming this $5 million actually gets budgeted, okay, what's the possibility of making small grants, $10,000, $20,000 to people like Spacevidcast to help them in this? Yeah, really, no, seriously, are you serious? These guys do this on their own dime, on their own time, and it doesn't take them a lot of money.
Right.
$10,000 out of $5 million.
Sure. Sure.
If you had a handful of grants like that people could apply for.
Exactly. Well, there's nothing to say that it can't be done. And thank you for planting the seed. So.
And the history over in that group of people is that periodically they would get together to talk about talking to the public. Nobody ever talks to the public. They just
Talk about talking to the public.
I think maybe NASA, do they really want to talk to the public or do they just want to talk about it?
No, I think they do want to talk to the public. And but there's right. Absolutely. Okay.
See, that's not always true. We had this astronomy day at the Blackshell Park every year. And I spent the better part of 8 or 9 months trying to get a guest speakers to the NASA. The lecture room was too small for their speakers. It was really frustrating.
Okay.
It was ironic because I guess the week before astronomy day, the Nobel laureate and all the cosmic background explorer.
Yeah, John Mather.
He's doing something on NASA TV where he's talking to a group of people, maybe 10, 12 people, Nobel laureate. And we couldn't get somebody to come on and talk about it.
Okay. Didn't say it was always easy, but yeah, sure. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that connection didn't work out. 'Cause I know there is a lot of enthusiasm in the agency and, scientists and engineers, so.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that we have better help.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And there is did you go through the Speakers Bureau? You did. Okay. Interesting. It may have been, I don't know, a bandwidth issue on the NASA PAO side.
Well, I was told that the lecture we had was designed for input from at most 50 people. That was too small to attract speakers.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting. Let's see. Let me go to Stacy and then down here.
Just a thought on the mission side, that people often don't have budget for man-hours to accommodate things like a participatory exploration. And like you said, this has to be part of our agency
Sure.
And we need to change that around to say, okay, we're making these missions to help learn, so let's focus on the public first and not sacrifice that vision.
That part of the budget really needs to be about the outreach of the missions.
This is just as important as the science that we're getting out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we need science to be able to get back to people.
Right. Okay. Did you still have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think whatever you do and whatever paths you choose to take, it's really important that you also look at the data that is incoming from those avenues of communication. So I think it's very important also to stay nimble, and what that means is essentially you could say that you're going to communicate in X way with a target milestone of 10,000 people interested in it or responding within 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be nimble enough that if within 2 or 3 weeks you realize you're not getting the numbers because you're looking at and you're seeing the participation in real time, that you're willing to shift it and you're willing to update. Not because the communication is wrong, but maybe that path is wrong. And really as an organization being able to say, we can revise. That's okay. We're not revising data. We're just figuring out a better way to talk to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks. All right. Anything else? Sir. This one is not an open workshop. This is really for NASA to basically a range of folks from across the agency, across the mission directorates, of the science, aeronautics, exploration, so forth, and across the field centers, some representatives from each one to come together. And our lineup of external speakers is still to be decided, but we're inviting some folks in, some companies that basically have a large stake in public engagement to come in and talk. So this one is not an open forum, if you will. But I was hoping to, I saw this opportunity actually here at SpaceUp as an opportunity to actually talk with people who care about, this very issue. And I, think that this kind of thing is a good thing to do, and that, going forward, the agency does, need to reach out to the people like this. So anyway, well, thanks a lot for your time, everybody. And if you have additional ideas and want to contact me, feel free, amy.p.kaminski, KAMINSKI, @nasa.gov.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.